Here we go. Less Kevin, more tech from UTEC.IT.com, huh?
That's exciting.
All right. I've said this before, but I've been known to lie before. But this time I'm not lying because I've got my all-time favorite guest here, a guy that I've admired from a distance as a businessman. And you want to introduce him, Les?
No, I mean, after that,
I'm afraid I'm going to butcher it, man, because I'm just so excited here.
I just want to make sure you're not peeing your pants or anything going on here. This intro.
No. Today we've got an Ann Arbor great with us. It's a Michigan great.
Yes, I
agree.
And
that's former Governor Snyder.
Well, it's great to be with you guys. You guys have done well with the podcast. I'm glad to be a guest.
We're excited to have you. We want to learn. We want to learn about your new ventures and where you see the future going. And plus, I'm more excited to listen to Kevin after that intro. I don't know what's coming right now.
So we brought him on here to talk about SensCy. Yep. And his new venture here, and we're going to talk about that. And if anybody's been paying attention, you've been all over the news with this. The marketing's been phenomenal, launching this company. We're proud that we're partnering with you guys and working on some stuff. But before I do that, and I think I said that when you spoke here, I have to say, I digress. I want to talk politics for 2 minutes, so bear with me, because I know you hate it. But
Kevin loves politics. He does.
Actually, I don't. I'm frustrated with politics because I think we've lost our way on this, and both sides. It doesn't matter which side you cheer for. Both sides are lost right now. But I want to thank you, and I think anybody that comes across owes you a deep bit of gratitude for. A lot of people run because of an ego. A lot of people run because they have to fulfill something, and anybody that knows you or spend any time around there seeing you, you ran because you thought it was the right thing to do. You thought we needed the leadership. You thought we needed that stuff, and I think whether people voted for you or voted against you, they have to appreciate what you did because I think you just called balls and strikes as they came down the middle of the plate. You didn't worry about who was at bat or who was pitching. And I'm just talking to a guy on the way in, a police officer, said, hey, tell him thank you. It was funny. Fish out at Hamburg Police Department doesn't know you, but he just said, oh, you're having him on? He's a great thank you for what he did because he tried to make the best decisions for everybody, right? It didn't matter what team you're on.
Right. Well, I'm proud of the record I had, but it really was based on growing up as a Michigander. I mean, that's sort of the values that my parents gave me and I had from great mentors during my lifetime. And I finally had a name for the philosophy that I sort of live. It's relentless positive action.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Which is basically no blame, no credit. What's the problem? What's the solution? And be relentless in pursuit of solutions. Because if you think about what's the point of blame? It doesn't make anything better. Mm-hmm. So don't waste time on that. Credit doesn't matter. The question is, did good things happen or not?
Yeah.
And can you make good things happen? And it's all about teamwork and showing that the citizens of Michigan were my clients, my customers. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting when I'd meet people. Usually people, even if they didn't like you, were pretty nice in person to a governor. It's like you don't meet governors every day, so people were nice. But I always tried to remind them I'm your employee. I'm here to serve you, whether you voted for me or not.
Right.
And you deserve good service.
I
this
think
isn't rocket science. People make this too hard.
I know, but we hear that too often, and people don't back that up with the actions. I think if people looked at you, they really do back it up. They say it, you say it, but you backed it up with your actions. And I think everybody owes you an gratitude for that.
I appreciate that.
So one of our coworkers, Tom, Kevin's COO, he always says, he goes, I don't understand politics. When you go to work, you're going to solve problems, take care of the customer, and you if you're successful, you get rewarded. Because as soon as you put politics, the word politics in it, then all of a sudden everything goes out the window. And instead of just trying to solve the problems and working towards the better good, all this other emotional stuff comes in. And Tom is he's got a lot of stories around that. But I think he's along that same line philosophically.
Yeah, well, we need there are things we really need to do in this country. I'm concerned about the future of our country right now. And when I was governor, I even started adding to my talks. Every talk I was doing in the last 3 or 4 years, I added a piece on civility. Because if you look at it, the greatest threat to America is us, in my view. Because if you look at it, we're the greatest country in the world, and we should be proud of that, and we're enjoying the benefits of that. But you can't maintain that status in perpetuity if you can't get along with yourself. And so we have some major threats internationally and other places, but we got to turn this around. We got to understand it's not you versus me. It's not win versus lose. How do we win together? And so I tell people, instead of fighting about what piece of the pie you have versus somebody else, whether you thought you should have it or whether you had it and you think you're losing it, we need to grow the pie. We need to grow the economy. We need to do good things, and we need to share in that.
So when you were given that message, how was it receptive? What's the feedback?
No, the response is generally good. I get a great response now. I am doing some political things again, not running, but out communicating to people to try to get people to re-engage. Because if you think about it, a lot of people have checked out, sort of gotten disillusioned, distraught with where things are, whether you're on the left or the right. And so I sort of say, is this going to get better if you're not participating? And everyone comes back and knows, I should be doing something. So I said the question is, how can we do this so you can actually feel you're working with rational people and you're doing something that is actually going to help solve a problem? And I told people this is what we did in Michigan, and I appreciate the wonderful words, Kevin, and I'm proud of what we did. It was about having a positive vision. It was about reinventing Michigan and having something to stand for, not something to stand against. So a lot of the world today is people are sort of being in the negative against things. What are you for? Ask yourself that, and how you can find common ground on any issue with other Americans and other Michiganders if you look for doing good things.
Got to take the effort, though.
So I have always told people it's easy to be negative. It's hard to govern. But you can govern well, and I'm proud of what we did. So one of the statistics, and I am a proud nerd, so I had metrics and measures on everything. So one of the statistics I was really proud of is I had our legislative staff keep track of all the bills I signed in all those 8 years, and I signed a lot of bills. And I said, let me know the percentage of bills that had a majority of Republicans and a majority of Democrats in the House, a majority of Democrats and a majority of Republicans in the Senate. So basically you had a majority of both parties in both chambers. Because I view that as a good benchmark to say you were doing some good legislation that people agreed on. It was about 90%.
Incredible.
And that message doesn't get out to people to say you can govern in a thoughtful way where people feel they belong and do things. And that's what we have to get back to. And so I hopefully have a role and can help communicate. This can be done. Let's just do it again. And let's do it more often.
Loads of common sense there, right?
Yeah.
All right. So prior to the venture into politics, you had a very successful corporate career. Is that how you managed in the corporate world?
Absolutely. I mean, the principles apply one or the other. So the governor one is interesting because I tell people it's the coolest CEO job in the world. I would take that over any private sector CEO job because there's nothing that compares. Think about the departments I had working for me that you sort of had to manage. I had everything from corrections to agriculture to human services to the National Guard. So it's like you had this variety of things, and I am a proud nerd, which means I love to learn about everything. And so it's a way to get involved and hopefully be productive, add positive things. And I'm proud. I think I can look at every one of those departments and say good things we did to help Michiganders better.
So it's like Kevin. Kevin's got the warehouse. He's got sales. You got tech set up. We have folks in the field.
Yeah, but I was fortunate. One of the things I always tell people, and I try to help people today, is mentorship. I think one of the things that I can look at my life and my career, and I can actually look at specific individuals to say, I learned this attribute from them.
Do you care to mention one or two?
Well, I'm happy to mention one. Well, my parents would clearly be on the list, but one that stood out in my life was a guy named Jerry Wolf. I started my career at Coopers & Lybrand, now PricewaterhouseCoopers in Detroit as a tax guy. How's that for exciting? And Jerry Wolf was one of the finest individuals I've ever met in my life, and he was one of the finest client service people and smartest people I know. He's passed away. But he was the person that exemplified not taking credit. Everybody, all his clients loved him. Everybody wanted to work with Jerry. I never heard Jerry say, I did it, or I did this. And it's just something to learn from and to watch that. And that made a difference. I was in my early 20s, and to have a chance to work with someone like that left a lasting message. There's another guy, John Heitman, another partner there. So at each phase of my career, I've been fortunate enough to find people to learn from. And I still view that today. I'm not done. It's like us old dogs can still learn new tricks.
Hey, so did you ever have the desire to be a partner in that, or were you? I don't know.
I became a partner.
You became a partner, because that's an incredible commitment.
Yeah, it took me 6 years. So I
really?
So I'm the nerd thing.
Yeah,
that kicked in. So no, I'm on my 5th career now. I can't hold down a job. I only last for 8 to 10 years, and then I got to find something new.
You're unemployable.
The good part is, I can tell you, I'm having a blast, and I think SensCy is a wonderful thing to do. I view that as not just a company, it's a public good. That we're helping small businesses, small organizations in particular, because they need help. But I view it as, I'm happy to work on this for a few years, but that doesn't mean I can't have a 6th career. It's like, we got to have this attitude. Just because you get to 65 doesn't mean you're
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's not like you're out mowing the grass all the time. And
you're not 65 yet. So.
Oh, I am. Yeah, I got my card. That was a big move. That's why I got my 65th birthday. It's really exciting getting that Medicare card. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, this is sending a message. I better kick it in and get back in shape.
Well, so I go back. You've been in CEO of Gateway, right? You've been a partner at Coopers Lybrand. You've been in these big organizations. You led the state of Michigan, one of the biggest organizations around, right?
Yeah.
But you always talked about small business. And you always looked out for small business, and the opportunities were endless. That you could have done anything, and you chose to go start a small business and continue to work with small business. Now you want to make that a big business, I know.
Yeah.
But you started out with a small group. You want to talk about your partners and get us going on that topic?
Sure. One of the wonderful things I always said, what makes an economy work and the backbone of an economy is small business, and I call it economic gardening. So it's like you plant the seeds and you let them grow. Versus hunting. Hunting is where you try to go get these big organizations. You too often they try to buy them into a state. And it gets back to the heart of entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur. So I did venture capital where I actually helped start companies from scratch. And that's what we did here. And I have a great group of partners. They were actually talking, and I happened to run across them because they're old friends, and they let me sort of kibitz and join them. But they're fabulous people. 2 of them I worked with at the state of Michigan. David Bean was the CIO, the Chief Information Officer at the state of Michigan for 6 years.
You stole him from us here in Ann Arbor, and you kept on taking him up all the way around.
I swiped him out of Ann Arbor and took him to the state, and then he went on to be CIO at Lazy Boy Furniture, just a wonderful company. Dave Kelly is a great illustration. He was a captain in the Michigan State Police. He stood up and ran the cyber command, so he's got stories. If you want to hear what bad guys can do with cyber, he's the guy to talk to. But he's our chief technology officer, and he's just fabulous. Then Bhushan Kulkarni. Bhushan has been an Ann Arbor institution for a long time, just a fabulous serial entrepreneur. He's got 2 very successful companies, but they're both running well. They're working well, so he had the bug to do a 3rd one. What the heck?
Well, we also have to give him a shout out because he's doing great work with the foundation board. He's chair of that now, and just had a killer fall with the thing. But go ahead.
So if you think about what a wonderful team. I mean, so when you talk about experienced management people, it's like we talk to these. They think we're young startups usually have young people. It's like no, we're up there. We can actually say we've got over 100 years experience.
Gray and proud.
Open the door,
So it's worked out well, and the goal was to really say there's a wonderful cybersecurity industry out there that's large, that's multinational, it's got billions of dollars of investment from venture capital, but they're helping medium and large organizations. They largely do technology tools. And the issue is, if you're a small organization, whether you're a for-profit, not-for-profit, small government, even if you gave them these tech tools, they wouldn't know what to do with them. It's an alien world to most small business people. You do a wonderful job at UTEC about helping smaller and medium-sized organizations. No, you should be proud of that. And we want to do that with cybersecurity. So we only do cybersecurity. We want to be their trusted guide, someone they can trust in a very complicated, scary world.
Yeah.
Well, it is, and I think when you talk to a lot of businesses, and we're a small business, right? We look at it. It's hard sometimes to quantify. It just.
It's a scary item,
it's
but
out
it's
there,
nebulous.
And how do you see your ROI, right? You know what I mean? And you look at it as an expense, and you really got to change your mindset, and it's an investment in your company, right? Yeah. It's an investment in making sure your company will be there tomorrow, because it's not if, it's just when you're going to get hit with this stuff, right?
Yeah, I tell people, I hope it's never the most important thing on your list to do.
Right.
Hopefully it's selling to clients, to customers, providing great services or products to someone, or, if you're in the not-profit world, helping people, whatever it is. But I said, if it becomes the most important thing in your world, you got a problem.
Right.
You've been hacked, and you may not stay in business, or it's going to cost you a lot of money, it's going to cost you a lot of effort, your reputation's at risk. So you need to be safer. And there's a funny thing is, I never thought I'd be excited about working in a company where my goal is to tell people my goal is to help you sleep better at night.
Yeah, you're not in the mattress business.
Yeah.
No, I don't do mattress or pillows. I'm just the guy that's going to help you have
it's that lazy boy
clear mind. Yeah.
They're in the recliner.
But Rick, you're, the point's valid, right? Until it happens, I think the percentage of businesses that fail after a cyber attack in the small business realm is over 60%.
It's high.
It is very high, and but it's something that's out there, right?
Yeah.
And the guy that has a good plumbing business is a good plumber, right? He wants to take care of his clients. He doesn't want to.
No, and so one of the things we really focused on, we did when we built the company, that actually gives us, I believe, a competitive advantage over most of the traditional cyber industry, is we build it from the ground up to be cost efficient, because we knew you can't charge too much to these smaller organizations. They don't have the resources. They couldn't afford it. So we actually were very efficient and thoughtful about that, to say we need to build this in a fashion where it's affordable, it has high value, and it can work for people. And it's much of it's tied into humans.
Right.
It's not as much technology as you think, because almost 80 to 90% of cyber instances are because of humans, right? Clicking on that email or doing something they shouldn't have.
I got a FedEx package I got to check on.
So David did a great presentation to the Ann Arbor IPSI Chamber of Commerce, and I think he drove that point home strong.
Yeah.
I really think he delivered, and I think it was received that this is scary, but you don't need to be afraid of it. You just need to practice some common sense. Work with some just basic human. You don't need the tool set.
No, the analogy I give people, I said it's much like having diabetes. So cybersecurity, it's a chronic condition. You're never going to get cured. It's never going to go away. But if you do diet, exercise, and insulin as a diabetic, you can live a normal life where people don't even know you have diabetes. You have a good life. So the same thing is, if you practice good cyber hygiene, you can have a good life. Does it mean you're cured? No. Does it mean you're safe? No one is safe. We tell people we make you safer is the goal, enough where hopefully you can sleep good at night.
Right. Good. I like that.
See, you make it easy. You take companies like Sean Duvall at Golden Limo, and he thinks, hey, just because I play solitaire on my computer, I'll never be hacked. But you sit down with an owner like that, right? And you walk him through and you say, here's your scorecard. Let's do a little checkup on you. And then we're going to point you in a direction. If you're good, you're good. If you need improvement over here, you need improvement. And you dumb it down for guys that don't know this, right?
Well, we do it in plain English, because I tell people, the joke in our company is I'm the anti-acronym police. Because if you, again, this is a techie field. So if you're talking cyber, you can talk to a cyber person that may not use a complete word for 2 or 3 paragraphs of speaking, and it's like, no, we can't.
And they're proud of it.
We're talking to real humans here, so we have to do plain English. So we actually convert it. And one of the things we do is we offer this free assessment, the SensCy score, to anyone. We don't charge for it. It gives you a score like your credit score. So we actually build it to be like your credit score. It's a 1,000-point scale. And it's based on the best practices in the country. It's actually based on the federal government's view of best practices, where we assign different points and things like that. And the way it works is if you're 800 or better, you may not need to be a client of ours. You're doing good stuff. You've got a lot of good things going. If you're 5 to 800, it usually means you've recognized cybersecurity and you're on the path, but you need help.
Right.
There are more things you need to do. If you're below 500, I hate to say it, the way I describe it to people is you've got 3 choices. You go watch Star Wars and learn to use the Force. You go to religious services, or you get somebody like us to come help you.
Yeah, right.
Because you need help. You're in trouble.
Yes.
So who came up with that idea? Because I love it. I mean, because it's easily identifiable. People have an analogy in their own personal life, that they can attach to it.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that?
Well, it was teamwork. Actually, Dave Kelly, I got to give him credit. He's the guy behind it, but a lot of us, we all contributed to it. And it's something that's really cool. So if people are interested in getting one, you can go to our website, and there's a box to say, get a SensCy score. Just click on it, and we set up an appointment because we actually want to help you go through it. It takes less than a half hour. It's 39 questions, collects 100 and some data points, and it's very accurate in my view. It gives you a really good assessment of where you are. And the reason we have a person involved is, again, if you're a small organization person, you may not understand all the questions.
Sure.
And so we want to make sure we're asking you well enough so those answers are accurate. So we're helping guide you through that process in English.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So is that difficult to find people internally to actually do the score and talk in plain English?
No, we actually look for that. A number of our folks that are our client advocates, the people doing the frontline work, have a cybersecurity certificate. It doesn't require a 4-year degree, and we got fabulous programs right in this geography. Washington Community College is a great institution. Eastern's a great institution. Michigan is. They all have certificate programs. So there's a good pipeline of really talented
Candidates.
people. Yeah.
Excellent.
And they're great careers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, what's the shortage that they're looking for cyber? It's like 600,000 projected over the next 3 years, I believe.
Oh, yeah. There's a huge shortage in all these, information technology generally. I mean, we need a lot more folk. And
right.
So one funny story I'll tell you back to my governor days is they came in, and I actually asked the economists that do the labor forecasts and stuff to come in because I said, we need to promote this more about the demand and stuff like that. So I said, tell me the demand for like IT people in some of these fields. And they came in and said, Governor, it's among the highest percentage demand of any fields we have. And they said it's like in the double digits. It's just like 15, 16%. I said, you guys are crazy. I said, it's double that.
Yeah.
I said, you're really smart people, but you're taking historical data and sort of extrapolating off of it rather than going to find out what real demand is. Because we could double the number of IT people in this state overnight and still have
a shortage.
And that's true of any place in the country or the world. So this is where we should be working much harder to give good information to people looking for careers about where opportunities are and what's required to get there.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
Amazing. Well, I just think it's so important.
Did they listen to you?
Yeah.
They did. Okay.
Well, they worked for me back then. But I would encourage people to look at this as a great field. And the cool part is with SensCy, our model, we've been around long enough. We have over 60-some clients and great partnerships. And you guys are a fabulous partner, though, too. We work together with clients. Is we've actually seen their scores progress. So it's very objective and quantifiable. So we actually had one client that started at 8.
Oh, my gosh.
We didn't think 8 was possible. The cool part is this is probably 6-7 months later, they're over 800.
Very nice.
And that makes you feel good.
Right.
And we've got a lot of other stories of 200, 300, and watching these scores go up and seeing success.
So what I'm hearing you say is that after the initial, there's an ongoing.
Yeah, they can become a client. After it's free, no obligation to get a score. If they want to go to the next level, we have a solution that we're a wraparound solution. So we become their trusted guide, like their virtual cybersecurity officer, and we provide a whole suite of services, and we recommend some other good services with partners in particular to deliver those. And it's affordable. We charge a simple flat monthly fee. For example, if you're 20 or less people, it's $750 a month.
Okay.
If you're 20 to 100, it's $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, you couldn't buy this in the market for the prices we're offering.
And I think this is what I think is lost on sometimes business owners. We sell cybersecurity tools. We manage networks for people. We do this stuff along with copiers and printers. But we still hire you guys to audit us to make sure that we're on the right track, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's important, that you've got to have somebody watching
a third party.
Yeah, because it takes a team, and it's such a layered defense to keep these bad guys out, but it's also the layered defense to keep our people educated and trained, and we got to make sure that we're doing it. And I think that's what you do for any business, that they're crazy not to have it as an insurance policy to make sure they're doing the right things.
Well, we only do cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. We complement what you do. Right. We're a great partner, and we do it all the time. And we have really good people that are looking at sophisticated issues that any small organization wouldn't have the resources.
But they face it. They face the same problems that big guys do.
So a couple things, in addition to the front end stuff, I always suggest to people. One is do you have an incident response plan? Mm-hmm. So this is the plan if you do get hacked. How do you come back as quickly as possible? Who do you communicate to? How do you do crisis communication? How do you address this? Because that can make a huge difference on how fast you come back. And not a lot of organizations have that. And the analogy I give them there is I turn it around and ask them now. I said, do you have a fire evacuation plan?
Yes.
Yeah. I said, do you have, up here, do you have a tornado plan?
That's because your department's made us put them up on the wall.
Yeah. Well, so do you have a tornado plan? Or if you're down south, do you have a hurricane plan? Well, yeah. Do you have a cyber plan? No. And so I said, what's the likelihood of having a fire, getting hit by a tornado, or having a cyber attack?
Yeah.
So it's backwards. Mm-hmm. So get your plan in place and do something good there.
Or go back to the first analogy and go to church. Yeah. If that's your
well, think about it. It's like the medical thing. They always say it's that golden hour. It's that first 60 minutes when you have a major issue. It's going to probably determine your outcome and how far you come back. It's the same way with the cybersecurity, right? It's that first initial response to it.
If you have good backups and you've tested how to reinstall your backups and you are in great shape, it's like, well, they got you, but you're not going to be back to the same spot, but you're going to be mighty close if you've done all that the right way, and you can put it back up.
So, so you have this ongoing process if they become a client. And that part of that is the recurring testing score, keeping just like a credit score. And then you track that. And are you meeting with the clients after that to review the progress? Are you?
Yeah, our cyber advocate talks to them monthly, and then at least once a year, if not more, we'll do an executive briefing where they'll haul me in, and we'll talk about overall how they've done and how they compare to other companies and what we're seeing in the marketplace and how they can be. For example, we do other things we include in this service, so it's relatively inclusive, where we do cyber awareness training. So every other month, so 6 times a year, we have a short video with a quiz, and then the other month in between, we do phishing exercises, the PH kind, where we send that email out to you guys to see who's going to click on it. But the cyber awareness training, one thing I emphasize there to people is, when I've talked to people about becoming a client, they'll say, oh, I can't ask my folks to do another thing. You know, it's too much to even spend 10, 15 minutes to add. I've got them overloaded. And I said, that's because you're not presenting it the right way. I said, the way you should be presenting the cyber awareness training is, it's not a burden on them. It should be presented as a free employee benefit. Because everything they're going to learn in that lesson, and you should encourage them to take it home to their spouse, to their kids, their whole family should be doing everything they're going to learn in that lesson, because they need help at home.
Right.
So don't make excuses for this. Be proud of it. You're actually doing good work by getting people to become more cyber aware.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, back in your governor days, there was some guy that used to follow you around, some little sidekick. What's he doing now?
Yeah, Brian Calley was my lieutenant governor. Just an awesome guy. And he's now head of the Small Business Association of Michigan, and doing a fabulous job there. And one of the reasons I asked Brian to be my lieutenant governor is I think someday he's a talented guy, and I hope he's governor of Michigan. He's got that skill set and qualification where he's that person in the next generation, and there are other people, but we need to start identifying great talent and, you know, putting them in a position to do great things. And he was a wonderful lieutenant governor. It was not a ceremonial position. This guy was working hard.
I know it, and I say that because I go back to, and I think that, again, some of these politicians, they go and that's all they do. I'm tired of seeing these guys make careers out of this stuff, and that's all they do. You guys raised your hand. You saw a need. You offered to serve. People liked your ideas. We voted you in. You did the work. and now you're back out and you're doing what you said the whole time in there. You're trying to help small business. You're trying to help the economy. And Brian's doing a great job.
Yeah, we like him a lot.
The folks over there at SBAM and working with so many small businesses to make them better.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful thing. So, I mean, one other thing I'm really proud of that's helpful that really is going to help the tech community, for example, in many places. But here we're very fortunate. We have Ann Arbor Spark.
Oh, yes.
And I was one of the founders of Ann Arbor Spark. A lot of people don't know that because of the governor thing, but I was one of the early people there. And the classic part is I was their first chair for a number of years. And I'm now a startup guy, so we became a client of Ann Arbor Spark. So this is a classic case. So it's like the parent became the child again.
Yeah.
And I've not been involved since the governor days, and they do a fabulous job. So it's wonderful to see something you were part of that has gone beyond any one person to say now it's in a wonderful institution with wonderful people that are helping people, and they did a lot of great work.
We were upset about that here in Ann Arbor because you had a great thing start with Spark, and then you went and stole Amy's cell from us
I was
again
just
and
going
made
to
her work
say,
at the
that's where we
state.
had Amy, right?
I stole a lot of people. Mike Finney, so just wonderful folks. So we had a very talented group, but there's very talented people there today. But it's wonderful to see go full cycle on some of these things. The classic part is I even had to do an interview to see if they'd accept us as a client, and I passed. So I was very proud of that.
A big moment. The second big moment behind 65.
Wouldn't that have been fun? Rick, sorry. You're not cutting it. That'd have been terrible if you didn't pass it.
Well, I did. So I studied. And I got by.
We got to thank you for one other thing here before we get too far down this road. But Ellie's Place is a big organization that we work very closely with. And I know that Sue and you were both very instrumental in supporting that group and helping get that beautiful facility that they have. It's not new anymore, but thank you for all the work on that and getting that group going.
Well, it's as you said, Kevin, a wonderful organization to help grieving children. And people don't understand how many grieving children are out there and the support they need and how it can make a difference. So Sue and I both did. Sue was the point person, though. I mean, she was passionate. So she deserves huge credit. Her and Howdy Holmes helped run the capital campaign here and do a lot statewide. So I'm just proud to be associated just as you are with a great group like that. Because it's like if you're fortunate in life and have the opportunity to have extra resources, to give them back. I mean, how can you share them in a way that's going to help others?
Well, I know you were active in it, and Sue was a leader there. And it wasn't just during the political time, but it was before, and you've been instrumental afterwards doing a lot of things. And I think that is a great testament to the family.
Well, thank you. No, I appreciate that. Well, that was one of the reasons I ran for governor was to make sure we could keep our kids here and family. So if we have time, I'll share a short story with you. So the classic one, when it first came up and Sue got on board, was date night. So we were out on date night and having dinner and on a Friday night in Ann Arbor in early 2009. And Michigan was a disaster in 2009. So usually you try to have a good time on date night. The conversation turned negative, and it turned negative because we started talking about our kids who were getting to be college age and through middle school and stuff like that.
Talking about moving.
We talked about, is there going to be a future for them? And they may not have the ability to stay in Michigan, and how tragic that was. And so I sort of got on my soapbox and said, there are some good people running, some well-intentioned political people, but I said they were talking about fixing Michigan. And when you're broken as much as we are, that wasn't good enough. We had to reinvent our state. And we want to keep these kids like our kids and other kids in Michigan. So after I did my soapbox, you said we should talk about you running for governor. So I sort of got called out. And the good part is I'm proud to say we're 3 for 4 on the kids, and we're going to get the 4th one back when they want to have a family, I think. So it worked out great. So very fortunate there.
Well, we appreciate it. We owe you a bunch of gratitude for doing all the things that you did, and you were a great leader there, and
absolutely.
It was good. It was good for the state, and nobody can look back and say that we're not better because of your work, Brian's effort, and the rest of your team over there. You guys did a great job.
Well, it's teamwork, all of us, and I appreciate the citizens.
Dream work.
Yeah. So I appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys. It's great you have this podcast. You got UTEC's a wonderful organization, and you're having fun and helping people. That was always my goal. How do you help people have fun and make a living?
I said he'll talk all day, so if we can cut him off, we'll get him back for a second time, right? Versus one bite at the apple, right?
I'm reminded of a presidential candidate many years ago. He ran on the concept of capitalism being a tool to benefit. Compassionate capitalism was his.
Like Stephen Forbes.
Yeah, exactly. And so I really think there's a lot to that concept. Because if you're a good, successful business, you're bringing value to the marketplace. Otherwise, people are not going to be buying and investing with whatever goods and services you're producing. So it grows the pie.
Yeah, you grow the pie, and you've got more to share. And you want to help people that need the most get part of that sharing.
Yeah, exactly. And welcome them in.
Through work and everything else.
Yeah.
I think you always said that we're not going to worry about the social stuff because, it's too divided. We're going to fix the economy. We're going to give people opportunity, give them jobs, give them a vision where they can see themselves staying here and moving forward and advancing. And all that other stuff would just fix itself, wouldn't it?
It comes together. And they're not easy questions, but focus on what you can do that everyone can join in and participate in. So it was interesting. So when I went to new governor school, and there is such a thing as new governor school, believe it or not, after you get elected. It's a couple days, but it was really cool. So they had
thinking of McDonald's University. What do they call that? Hamburger U?
Hamburger U. Well, it might equate to being a governor. So on my chair, they went all the new governors, and they put on their chair this envelope. And I watched some of them open them and watch their expressions. So I went and opened mine. And it was from Moody's Analytics. And this was in 2010. And it was a forecast from Moody Analytics ranking your state on a scale through 2014 to say this is how you're expected to perform economically and how we rank you. And it was in reverse colorization to make sure you couldn't miss the number.
Yeah.
So it was white on black background. So I opened this thing, and guess what my number was?
What?
50.
50. Oh, okay.
And so I looked at that, and that just reinforced the reason I ran. And I took that report. It was on my cork board for all 8 years I was governor. I just poked it up. Because if you think about it, fixing Michigan, why would you try to aspire to be 47?
Right.
I mean, if you're 50. So I went in this thing, we got to get back to top 10, and we made it. Because you got to do extraordinary things. You got to innovate. You got to think out of the box. And that was a new thing for government. Innovation is not a normal thing for government, but we proved you can do it. And so that's the kind of spirit we need to get back to in this country. Because we're paralyzed too much.
You're lucky on that report there wasn't an asterisk that said, because there's not a 51st state. It was bad.
I mean, you just looked at that thing and go, oh, my God.
Incredible.
Oh, good.
But we're going to beat it, and we did.
Good.
So a lot of times we ask about favorite bourbons and stuff like that, but we thought this time we'd ask, what's your favorite password?
Rule number 1, never reuse a password. So I'd have to give you a different answer every time. That's great.
No, well, thank you for all you've done in the past. Thank you for what you're doing now for small business and medium business, and we can't wait to see the career number 6 and what that evolves to too. But we got to have you back on, so we'll make you a pledge to come back on, and we'll let you off graciously today.
Well, happy to be back. It was great to be with you.
It's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.